Well, good Monday to you all. Welcome to Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We are back after the Tuesday night tussle, and we're here to debate who won, who lost, and do ratings really matter anymore in the era of streaming and just TV viewership going down? So, Ashlee, welcome to the show. Always good to have you.
Hello, how's everything going?
Things are going well. I have to say it was a great week of professional wrestling, and we got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Let's start where everybody was seeming to talk about last Wednesday morning, as clearly NXT dominated the night and beat AEW in the TV ratings by some 275,000 viewers. But does it really matter, Ashlee?
I mean, I'm sure it matters to some people, but those people are not me. I tend to not care about the ratings. There's so many things that will fluctuate with them later on with like DVR and people watching on streaming, so there's some weight to it, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. So
okay, so I watched AEW first, and I felt like AEW gave you the better bell to bell from start to finish in wrestling action on your TV. There's some great segments on NXT, but not the best night for the wrestling. So I would personally say AEW won the night. If you just go strictly on, if you enjoy professional wrestling, I would be like, hey, AEW won the night.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. We still got to take into mind that NXT is still a developmental. I know there were a lot of big names on there, but a lot of the wrestling is still the people developing there. So.
Exactly. And you're not going to have The Undertaker, Paul Heyman, John Cena, Cody freaking Rhodes on this next week's episode of NXT. You're not going to have that again. This is like a one-off. It's like, oh, hey, we got this 2-hour spot where we're running head-to-head with the other company, so we want to look good. So let's invite everybody down to NXT.
Yeah, a lot of those spots, like especially like the Cody Rhodes thing, like he kind of came off as like an authority figure. And you don't see Cody Rhodes like leaving wrestling right now to go be an authority figure in NXT. So clearly that's like a one-off thing. I mean, I don't know. Does The Undertaker really choke slamming somebody at the end of the night really do anything for anybody anymore? Like in-ring wise, like is there a rub there that we feel is worth it for Braun Breaker?
Okay, in the defense of that segment you just talked about, I was one of those people going like, hey, just maybe we can get Undertaker to do like a 5-minute match with Braun Breaker and have Braun go over The Undertaker on his debut on Raw or SmackDown or maybe Crown Jewel, somewhere where it wouldn't matter. You can just see, here's Braun Breaker. He's a heel. They're going to bring him up as a heel to the main card or main roster, and he defeats The Undertaker on his very first night on the main roster. Okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah. Like I definitely think if you do have some sort of thing like that, you have to have The Undertaker lose. I feel like we can't have Undertaker winning matches against these young guys in 2023 or 2024.
No, I agree with you, Ashley. I feel like that show something he got on Tuesday night last week was the most that The Undertaker should ever get from Braun Breaker.
Yeah, and it's not because obviously like a lack of like like respect of like what he's done or whatever, but you got to make them. You got to make these kids a big deal, and that's a great way to make somebody a big deal.
Exactly. I feel like you need to strike while the iron's hot, and that's why maybe you can talk the Undertaker to do Crown Jewel here in November and bring Braun over to Saudi Arabia for this one-off with him and the Undertaker, and be like, good way to use this kind of rub you get for Braun Breaker. Because honestly, what do you do with Braun Breaker after this now? Because for now we're like almost a week removed from that.
I don't know. I think you have to move him up to the main roster.
I mean, it looks like they want to because he's not in the world title picture at NXT anymore. You got Baron Corbin and Domin Dijak as your next two possible opponents for Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, I think it's time to move him up. So I think, like you said, maybe Crown Jewel. I'm pretty sure Taker would have no problem taking a payday for a Crown Jewel show, especially for a match like that to put somebody over that if he's, willing to see, obviously he sees something in him working with him like this. So if he sees something in him to be like a future star, be a good way to put him over.
That's what I think, Ashley. And we're going to end our opening segment there as we're going to go over to the control center to catch you up on everything else that was happening in the week of professional wrestling.
This is your radio-free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
And allow me to go to story number 1 for you, Ashlee. As we saw on AEW last Tuesday night, we saw Juice Robinson in the ring with the full Bullet Club gold, and here comes MJF out to confront them to get his title back. And this segment has a lot of people divided because Juice Robinson had a royal quarters with MJF's name on it. And this for the simple fact that right now there's a current conflict between Israel and Hamas right now, as Hamas attacked Israel this past, like 10 days ago, where they killed almost like over 1,000 people 2 Saturdays ago. And a lot of people are kind of like anti-Semitic. Personally, Ashlee, I didn't draw the correlation there. Now, I know MJF is Jewish. I know MJF had told a story before. We heard at least twice from MJF about him growing up, getting bullied, and having quarters thrown at him. And I know Juice Robinson has used a royal quarters in New Japan Pro Wrestling for a while. So, honestly, I was tuned into wrestling and had the outside world turned off. So, I could see a wrestling fan or a non-wrestling fan looking at this going like, what the hell? This is tone deaf. But a lot of wrestling fans, I feel like, would be like, no, this is just a good heel, and we're going to see MJF get to come up this here and defeat Juice Robinson probably in 2 weeks.
You know, personally, obviously, I'm kind of just an outsider in every aspect when it comes to like the religion, the culture, everything like that. And it's tough for me to say. I mean, clearly the seeds were planted there for this storyline a few weeks ago with MJF telling that story. Like there was a purpose behind it. And then, like you said, I thought about it was just Juice Robinson who's used these quarters for, months now and stuff like that. And it seemed MJF told that story and then got into the feud with Bullet Club. And that was leading to the story of MJF coinciding with the guy who's used quarters for months as a weapon. And him knowing it's a sore spot for MJF. So it's kind of like a little extra dig. So I kind of like, I know it's tough, but I, like you, didn't really draw the whole point of this is for MJF to overcome this. This is a story he's trying to tell specifically sort of about anti-Semitism as he posted, you know?
Exactly, Ashlee. And he did a speech for a Jewish organization this past Thursday talking about anti-Semitism and fighting the hatred of people hating Jews. So I feel like MJF is trying to tell this story, trying to be a role model for a lot of Jewish Americans or Jews in general. Personally, I was more offended back in the day when we had Muhammad Hassan. You remember him, the character that was the Arab American, and he debuted in WWE probably 2006, and most famously had the segment the Friday of the London bombing, and WWE ran with it, where he was in the center of the ring and got carried off like on the shoulders of his quote unquote terrorist group.
Yeah, the guys in the ski masks. I remember that.
That to me was more offensive. I was thinking like, you already had this in the can. This event happened on a day that was going to air SmackDown. You could literally cut that segment and you wouldn't have to show it. But they showed it. A lot of fans hated it. A lot of backlash. And a lot of that fell on the wrestler who played Hassan. And it wasn't fair to him because I feel like it was more of the company. Yeah, they wrote him off with The Undertaker powerbombing him through the stage. And that was the last time we saw that character.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's tough, but this storyline was kind of going on before any of this stuff got started in the news. To say whether they should have just cold dropped it when everything started, I'm not sure. I mean, MJF turning babyface was a big thing, and this was a big story that he wanted to tell as a babyface. So I don't know. You know, it's touchy, but I don't know if you can back away from it now. You know, it's already...
You know, I'm kind of reminded of a saying from a movie that Harrison Ford did called Career Person Danger. And he's in this movie, he's a character that's a CIA guy. And he's in the office with the president going like, you know, once the bomb goes off, you can't fix the bomb. So you just need to go with whatever happens next. So we already gone past the point where you could said, let's pull the segment. Don't let use the quarters. Now we're here. We need to see MJF come out defeat Juice Robinson and make the story make sense.
Yeah, and I don't expect anything less than MJF completely going over Juice Robinson.
Me too. I feel like Juice is going to win the Diamond Ring Battle Royal to face MJF for the right to get the ring, and that's when he's going to beat the ever-living heck out of Juice Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay, second news story of the week. This past Saturday, Logan Paul was having a boxing match. He won, and he went to challenge Rey Mysterio for the United States heavyweight title. Ashley, do you want to see Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio?
I mean, he's not doing bad for somebody who's just come in. So, I mean, working with a veteran like Mysterio could really be good for him.
Ashley, as soon as I heard Logan Paul say this, I was going like, this is a match for Crown Jewel. I can see this happening. And personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul. I feel like it would be just as good as Logan Paul versus Damian Priest or Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. So I don't have a real issue with it. I just thought it was kind of cool seeing Logan Paul go ahead and come back to the WWE again. And for an outsider who's not a full-time professional wrestler, Logan Paul has had some great matches.
Yeah, so I mean, putting him in the ring with somebody like as outstanding as Rey Mysterio will definitely help him look great and definitely teach him a thing or two in the ring.
True. So we'll just have to wait to see if this match comes to be and where.
I was gonna say Rey Mysterio because I sort of seemed to respond on social media, so I think we are heading somewhere.
I got a feeling that we're going to see it probably within the next month or two. I'm pretty sure I want to make a safe bet and say probably Crown Jewel.
Probably.
Okay, let's go on to the next story. As Hiroshi Tanahashi did a interview where he was talking about before the pandemic hit, he was about to retire from New Japan Pro Wrestling. This was with Dave Meltzer and Figure 4 Weekly. And after the pandemic hit, he decided to stay on a little bit longer because he wants to get New Japan Pro Wrestling back to almost where it was before the pandemic. If you remember, New Japan Pro Wrestling was firing on all cylinders before the pandemic hit. And I feel like New Japan Pro Wrestling probably took the biggest hit during the pandemic because of how Japan was super tight about who could come in and out and when you could have events. There's a long period of time in 2020 to 2021 where New Japan Pro Wrestling couldn't run a event.
Yeah. And as sad as this is, the writing's been kind of on the wall, I think, for a little bit. But I mean, just exactly what his name is, the Ace, man. He has put everything out there for New Japan, and what he has done for them is just immeasurable.
Exactly. I'm perfectly happy to see this gentleman wrestle until he's ready to call it a day. And when he calls it a day, he needs to have one short run with the New Japan World title as a thank you for all he's done for the company.
Yeah. Yes. Let him go out like that.
My final news story for you, Ashley. This past Saturday, Chris Hero made an appearance for West Coast Pro Wrestling, where he made a save in a match that had Timothy Thatcher was facing JT Thorne, and after the match, Timothy Thatcher was still fighting Thorne, and out comes Chris Hero, and we're heading to a possible Hero versus Timothy Thatcher match. Sign me up, Ashley. I don't know where to find this match yet. As soon as I can, I will tell everybody.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen him in ring, so let's see how he's looking.
Yes, the last time I can remember seeing a Chris Hero match, he was over in NXT UK when that was running, and he has a series of good matches with a few British wrestlers over there. And he's currently, if I remember right, was an agent with AEW for just a moment or two, maybe still doing the agent thing with AEW.
Yeah, like an agent or a producer, I think.
But I would love to see another run with Chris Hero if he's up and able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you got two promotions, Tony Khan. Get him on somewhere.
Heck, you have Ring of Honor. This would be a Ring of Honor match. Timothy Thatcher versus Chris Hero smells Ring of Honor to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see them bring back Timothy Thatcher.
If you've been watching some Pro Wrestling Noah lately, Timothy Thatcher has been tearing it up over there. And I just miss this dude. This dude was doing great in NXT proper for a couple years. And they got him released, if I remember right, during one of the pandemic releases. And he's been circling around through different independents for the last year or so. So to me personally, if AEW has a spot, I would sign this dude up.
Yeah, even like you said, like Ring of Honor or something. Like he would fit in 1,000% in Ring of Honor. Hard hitting. I'd love to see him there.
And that has been your Control Center for October 16th, 2023, here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling.
It's time for the stunning sixth question. All the whys and what have they done now? Hopefully, David and Shawn can make sense of it.
First stunning question for you, Ashlee. Does Tony Khan need somebody to handle his Twitter account? Does he need to run it through the PR department? Because I really feel Tony Khan is about 2 steps away from really annoying the fan base that he really cares about. And I feel like they're about to get really fed up with his kind of Twitter habit on Twitter right now.
I'll say, the first day, everybody was taking shots, all in good fun. Everybody's going back and forth. HBK got some, Tony Khan got some. Okay. But the next day, he dragged it on. And I was like, okay, Tony, like now it's not funny. Now just focus on what you're doing. And kind of still going with it a little later. Maybe he does need a PR team to kind of help him before tweeting sometimes. I know regardless of what I say, he's not going to. He's just going to do whatever TK is going to do. But I think it would benefit him to sometimes possibly put the phone away and not to engage with people who are deliberately trying to get that reaction.
That's how I feel too. I feel like I want to go, Tony, you're a billionaire. You're an owner of a lot of major companies and sports promotions and sports teams. You should be just a little bit above this, like going after people on Twitter.
Yeah, there's a lot of like weird, like personal tweets on all sides of it that get said that clearly I understand why he'd be upset, but there are plenty of people who say positive things, and I wish he would just choose to engage with that instead. It would definitely save him a lot of this. He gets very apparently worked up and stuff, and he doesn't need to. It's Twitter. You can just ignore those people or block them. It's how you move on.
The mute function and the block function are 2 of the best inventions for Twitter right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Ashlee, my second sending question for you this week. Are you excited to see Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair? Do you want that to be Jade's first program in the WWE? Or do you feel like she should have somebody else on SmackDown?
No, I think this is a good first program for her. Charlotte Flair is obviously a constant mainstay. She, I think, is the perfect veteran to work with Jade and get her accustomed to the WWE style. And it's going to obviously have Jade in the picture, in the main picture, which is, like I said, where she should be there. So, not somebody I had thought of a couple of weeks ago, weirdly, but a great choice, I think.
I've been over here for the last 2 weeks, pounding this desk, going she needs to be on SmackDown. And as soon as I saw this little backstage segment on last Friday's episode of SmackDown, I went, thank you, Lord. They got her on the right brand. And why not Charlotte Flair first? Because Charlotte is good in the ring. And if you're going to put somebody with Jade, it needs to be a veteran.
Exactly. I think it's perfect.
I'm just happy now. We'll just have to see if this plays out the way I think it is. Honestly, they have put so much into Jade in the first 2 weeks she's been with the WWE. Personally, I feel like she's a bigger star now than her 2 years with AEW.
Yeah, I mean, AEW had her at a level that they never really got her off of and plateaued. But seems to be sometimes the way of the women's division with AEW. So it's not entirely on Jade.
No, I feel like it's a symptom of AEW's management and booking style that they don't focus a lot on the women. They go we got our main storyline for the women. That should be good enough. And they go on about every other thing. Then, oh, wait a minute. We have this person and they're about to leave. Wait a minute. What?
Right. And my top 5 matches later are going to kind of show why maybe we should be showing the women a little more on television.
I got a feeling that we may have a couple of matches that are similar in our top 5 this week. My third sending question for you this week. What do you think of Adam Copeland's first couple of weeks in AEW so far? Is it the second way you wanted, or is it about to where you're welcome out on Adam Copeland?
No, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Seeing this kind of especially this past week after this interaction at the beginning of Collision, I'm really digging these promos he's been cutting. I love him coming out and maybe we don't need to have him out like cutting a promo every week. So maybe we can kind of get him into. I want to see him wrestle more. The match with Luchasaurus was a lot better than I expected it to be honest.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I thought that was going to be a shorter match. It turned out to be a bit longer with some bells and whistles, but those bells and whistles interconnect a few stories now. And like you said, on Collision, we saw Ricky start coming down with Big Bill. And they're like, hey, we have the AEW Tag Team titles. Let's hang out with Christian for a second. And here comes FTR down to the ring. And, lets me know Ricky starts like, hey, I'm looking for a fight. And I'm going like, this would be a fun 8-man tag. If you get Luchasaurus, Christian, Big Bill, and Ricky Starks versus FTR, Adam Copeland, and throw in a fourth person, whoever you want to throw in there, like a Darby Allin, that'd be kind of cool.
There's a few, because you could even throw Nick Wayne on the other side. So we got a couple of options we could go with. I'd love to see this. Collision had some great matches this week, and I want to see where Copeland is going, because I was kind of on the fence when he came in to see like how it was going to go, but I've enjoyed like the promos and where this storyline is going, and Christian's just been phenomenal in this heel role. So,
I'm like you, Ashley. I'm to the point where I'm cool with Adam Copeland promos. I'm good. I kind of want to see him fade back from doing promos and get into an actual program with somebody. And I know you probably don't want to jump right to the Christian Cage program.
I might want to start with Ricky Starks after Collision.
Let him have a match with Ricky Starks. Let him have a match with Nick Wayne. I mean, he speared the dude in half. Let's go down that road.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that too, with this Nick Wayne promo we have coming up. I like this Nick Wayne heel turn. I think this was a good call.
Okay, I gotta admit, I was worried about Nick Wayne turning heel, but whatever Christian has figured out to sprinkle onto Nick Wayne has created a very cool freaking heel in Nick Wayne, where I thought that would never work but save my life.
Yeah, I feel like Christian was working a lot with Jungle Boy prior to his heel turn, and I think a lot of the we kind of felt like Jungle Boy didn't quite hit as a heel, but with Christian's help, I think Nick Wayne has found his little niche as a weasel, because he's gonna make like a good little weasel for Christian, I think, over the next couple of months.
Exactly. I feel like I can't wait for this Wednesday coming up, where we're having a sit down with Jim Ross, Nick Wayne's mom, and Nick freaking Wayne, and this discuss that Nick Wayne has about coming to Wednesday to talk to his mom. I thought coming out of the Collision was just great.
Yeah, and I always love JR doing these sit-down interviews, so I'm pretty excited to see this.
I think so. This should be a fun episode of AWTV coming up this Wednesday night for you guys. So let's move on to my fourth stunning question for you. If you were in charge of Endeavor and you're looking to move Monday Night Raw off of Monday nights, what night would you put it on?
That would be insane to move Monday Night Raw.
I know. It's an institution on Monday nights. They've been on Monday nights for 20 plus years, but Endeavor is rumored to be looking at different companies to have Monday Night Raw, so it may move off of Monday nights. So what night would you want to have it on?
I don't know. Did they put it on Wednesday? Because they're not going to go against their own. They already have NXT on Tuesday. They have SmackDown on Friday. So those 2 days are accounted for. You have pay-per-views or, live events on the weekends. So you're left with Wednesday or Thursday, essentially.
Okay, so if you're going to move Monday Night Raw off of Monday, which I'm in favor of, if I was them, I would move it over to Tuesday nights. I would move NXT to Thursday, Wednesday, whichever one you want to do. But to get away from NFL football during the fall, I would move Monday Night Raw over to Tuesday night. And, you might have some fans give you some grief for a little couple of weeks, but the real wrestling fans, the ones who love to watch Monday Night Raw, will gladly watch it on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, I mean, that would make more sense to move NXT then, I guess, because then, whether you put it on Wednesday and you have Dynamite and NXT going head-to-head again.
Exactly, actually. It just depends on who gets the rights to broadcast Monday Night Raw. Now, personally, if I was NBC Universal, I'd be like, I want it all. Let's just throw a ton of money at Endeavor to keep WWE in-house, because we have the Peacock Network. Why not have Raw, NXT, and SmackDown?
That probably make the most sense, honestly.
See, that's how I feel. And I just feel like maybe they're just testing the waters to get a better number from NBC Universal.
I don't know if they'll get better numbers. I think I mean, they might drive up the price looking around, which could be the goal, but I don't know if the other networks would. Like, I couldn't see ABC paying for it, you know? I don't think wrestling is really, like, something ABC would be.
Disney is really interesting, Ashlee, because there have been rumors that they want to ditch their TV network part of it and go back more into being Disney, like movies and that kind of stuff, and maybe trying to shop ESPN and ABC off to somebody else. So I don't think Disney is the company that Endeavor is looking at as another option. Another option I heard that might be the case is Amazon Prime, but that might be more for NXT, because I could see NXT moving off of network TV or cable and going back to a streaming service, and that wouldn't really matter to the WWE or Endeavor company, because they get their money up front, and whatever ad revenue they get from the TV spots or the spots on Amazon Prime is just like icing on the cake.
Yeah, honestly, I could see that then, moving Raw to Tuesday, and then maybe, like you said, moving NXT to like a streaming or, you know, Peacock or something. That would work.
But I kind of like your idea too, and maybe Endeavor would be kind of like Vince McMahon and would go like, yeah, let's just put it back on Wednesday so we can run against Tony Khan.
Hey, listen, if that gives us wrestling like we got this week every week, everyone should be happy as hell. We'll just have to keep Tony Khan away from his phone.
Exactly. We just need to do that. So somebody down there in AEW, go to his office, find his phone, and chuck it out the window.
Right.
The views here expressed by Shawn does not represent Radio Free Professional Wrestling or Ashlee. Ashlee, my next stunning question for you. Coming off of a hell of a match at Royal Quest 3, Will Ospreay versus Zack Saber Jr., who's the one that you would say is the best British professional wrestler at the moment?
Oh my lord. How do you choose between these two right now? You possibly have the best, like, high flyer, modern wrestler with Will Ospreay and all of his innovations and crazy moves. And then you have Zack Saber Jr., one of the best technical wrestlers I have ever seen. I think Ospreay has had the bigger year only because of the caliber of people he has beaten, but Zack Saber Jr. is giving him a run for his money.
Okay, if you haven't seen this match from Royal Quest 3, it's a combined New Japan Pro Wrestling and Rev Pro event. This is your main event. It's like 40 freaking minutes, and it's just freaking good. And in this match, Zack Sabre Jr. is trying to slow down Will Ospreay by focusing on his ankles and knees to keep the aerial assassin from being, quote unquote, the aerial assassin running under like a 90 million mile speedball like he usually is. And Ospreay is fighting from underneath, trying to get around all the crazy submissions that Zack Sabre Jr. will break out in a Zack Sabre Jr. match, because he broke out so crazy freaking submissions in this match.
Oh my god, his ability to turn something that does not look like it could go into a submission at all into a submission is wild.
Okay, I'll give you an example, Ashlee. They came off the top rope in a superplex spot, and somehow, some way, Zack Sabre Jr. flips this superplex into a cross arm bar and tries to submit Will Ospreay on the canvas after coming off like in a suplex spot.
Just, he's unreal, and he's so, the prowess that guy has with technical wrestling is, I think, aside from somebody like Bryan Danielson, just unmatched right now.
Honestly, they are 1A and 1B when it comes to the best British professional wrestlers at this moment.
No doubt.
They are the cornerstones of a great generation of British professional wrestlers. And I'm with you. I feel like Ospreay gets the slight lead here just because he's beaten Chris Jericho, Okada, and Omega during the summer of Will Ospreay. And oh, by the way, I bought the shirt.
The Summer of Ospreay?
Yeah, I got the Summer of Ospreay shirt just in time to watch World Quest 3 this Saturday. So I'm like, heck yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got one final stunning question for you, Ashlee. Are you happy with Jay White being the person to fill the spot of Adam Cole as we head into Full Gear for the world title match to be MJF versus Jay White? Because I've seen some other wrestling podcasts and some people on wrestling Twitter who feel like Jay White is not main event level.
I would disagree. I think Jay White and Bullet Club have been some of the top people for Collision, and him earning this shot is not surprising to me. His in-ring work is great. His promo skills are amazing. If they're going this direction, I'm not upset with it. The belt does not look bad on him as he's parading around with it right now.
Okay, I got thinking about this just yesterday as I was coming up with our study six questions. And personally, when you look at Adam Cole and Jay White, I feel like they're the same height and the same size, and they basically are the same type of professional wrestler.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarity.
So, I mean, like, it just depends on your favorite of professional wrestlers. Do you like the more outgoing, like crazy heel Adam Cole? Or do you like the quiet and kind of sadistic calculating? He goes by the switchblade. What do you expect this guy to be?
Right. And I kind of like the juxtaposition of him being kind of like that more calculated person with like the guns and Juice Robinson like coming out on tricycles around him. Like, stuff.
Honestly, Jay White's character reminds me of a modern adaptation of Jack the Ripper. That's what I feel like he's portraying here.
Yeah, like you feel like there's just like, even though he says like kind of like comedy stuff, it always feels like there's something sinister underneath.
Yeah. And I mean, this guy had a run with the New Japan heavyweight title back a couple years ago. And I didn't feel like he got his just due in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So when they had this match that caused him to not be able to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling anymore, and he came over to the States, I was happy he signed with AEW. And so far, so good. All systems go for Jay White because it's still his freaking era.
Yeah, and if they choose to put the title on him after MJF like beats Juice Robinson and then has this match with Switchblade at Full Gear, I think maybe switch us off into something else and maybe have MJF maybe have like a babyface run that's not tied to the title.
You know, MJF is getting to a point where I don't think he needs a title. He's almost like to the level of Britt Baker, where she can come out and have a hell of a match, get a good response from the crowd, and she hasn't been near that title since when they were in London.
Yeah, I know. And everyone thought she was like just going to win that match. And I don't know why, because I saw a lot of that on my timeline, but it was clear that Saraya was going to win the match. Yeah, I mean, MJF is totally the face of AEW. As a heel, as a babyface, that's your guy. That's your guy who's going to be kind of bigger than everything.
And if you look at the heel side, when Adam Cole went down with his injury, who was there to take that spot that wasn't tied up with somebody else in a program? It was Jay White. So they went with the easy option, like, hey, this guy isn't doing anything besides being Bullet Club Gold. He's doing a hell of a job on Collision. Why not go ahead and make this a feud?
Yeah, and like we still have a lot of like storylines and like plot lines we have to tie up with this, so I'm pretty excited to see where the next few weeks go.
Exactly, Ashley. We still don't know who the heck was in the double mask and who were the other 4 people attacking Jay White.
Yeah, and they keep hinting at it, so they haven't forgotten about it because they're still mentioning it. So we at least know that it's not this thing that AEW has just forgotten about, because MJF is still like, I didn't do that, guy. I don't know what you're talking about. So we're eventually going to get the answer.
Exactly. And honestly, I don't think it's MJF because, like he said, if it was him, he would freely admit that he did it.
Yeah, and even if he was a heel, he would have no qualms about being like, yeah, I hired some dudes to beat your ass.
So that's going to bring our 76 questions to the end for this week. And we're going to head over to mine and Ashley's new favorite segment of the week. It's our top 5 matches.
It's RFPW's top 5 moments of the week.
Ashley, do you want to go first?
I do. I'll start off with a smaller one, but I'm just gonna name 3, and I'm not gonna mention them. They're just honorable mentions that I just want people to check out at some point. BCC versus Gates of Agony from Rampage, I thought was very good. The Copeland and Luchasaurus match didn't make it into my top 5, but it was a good showing for Luchasaurus, who we don't get to see in singles action too much. So I thought that was good. And Samoa Joe and Willie Mack from.
You know, I saw that Samoa Joe versus Willie Mack match, and that was freaking 2 hosses. Having a hoss fight at the end of it, I was like, man, I'd like to see him do it again.
Yeah, Willie, I like this. Like, we need to get AEW should have learned from All Out. We love these matches. Get more of these matches on here.
Okay, so what is your 5th match of the week? What is number 5?
All right, so I'm going to start off with Ring of Honor. and we sort of mentioned her off air about Athena took on Maserati this week, and she just continues to be, if not the best, one of the best champions in all of wrestling right now.
I gotta say, she's probably the most undervalued talent on the AEW roster, and for some reason, she's on ROH, and she's carrying ROH on her shoulders.
Absolutely. And we have all this time for the other Ring of Honor champions on TV. Let's get more Athena on television.
Exactly. Okay, so my number 5 match of the week, and I feel like I kind of overhyped this a week ago. It's Asuka versus Roxanne Perez from this past episode of NXT. They went 6 minutes. It was a fine match, but it didn't live up to what I had pictured a week before the match happened. So I'm going to blame it on me overhyping the match in my mind.
We do that to ourselves, though. I mean, 6 minutes is not a lot of time to get a lot of stuff in, though. So hopefully, maybe we can see a rematch down the road.
Exactly. I feel like there's some more awesome matches in NXT that would be amazing. So what is your number 4 match of the week?
Okay, so number 4, I picked Hangman and Jay White. So great match. Jay White with his usual just tricky heel stuff going on, but also because we furthered the feud between Hangman and Swerve. And we saw a little bit in one of my other matches that we'll talk about later, but I love that we're not getting away from Hangman and Swerve.
You know, I love the fact they interconnected these two feuds here. And this is going to be my number 4 match of the week as well, because I thought it was one heck of a match between Jay White and Hangman Adam Page. And we see earlier in the episode that Hangman comes down during the first Footland versus Bryan Danielson match, saves Bryan Danielson from getting cheated on by Chris Nana, and this causes Strickland to lose the match to Bryan Danielson. So you save Swerve from eating an L again. So this time, there's a reason for him to get this L, so you're cool. And payback comes in the episode where Chris Nana comes down, attempts to do the crown hit on Hangman, doesn't do it, but distress him just enough so Jay White can do that roll up, and I'm real happy that Jay White got the win.
Yeah. Again, great match, 2 dudes with a lot of history, and then to continue the feuds in like this great storyline way, I love it. So we're continuing with this, and now Jay White is free to kind of continue on with the MJF and taunting him with the belt.
You know, it's the Bang Bang title now. So what is your number 3 match of the week?
All right, I'm gonna move it down. I'm gonna make it number 3, but it's not for any other reason. It was great as well. We just talked about it. Swerve and Bryan Danielson. About 20 minutes or so, commercial free, unreal. Swerve continues to just look amazing with the top people of AEW, and he looks just like he's belonged there all along. So I'm hoping maybe we start moving him towards the big gold here.
He is screaming, "I'm a future world champion," with every match he has done in the last 6 months. And this match, starting out the episode of AEW commercial free, thank you to Christian Cage.
Our AEW father.
Exactly. But this match was just pure wrestling goodness. And I started watching this match on my phone as I'm leaving work in my Uber. And by the time I get to the house, I ran upstairs to get to the TV so I could see the finish of this freaking match.
Unreal. I can't wait to see. I feel like we're moving towards maybe another Hangman Swerve for Full Gear, so sign me up.
Exactly. I'll go ahead and give my $50 for that. Yes, please.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to my number 3 match of the week, and I'm going to Monday Night Raw. They have had a fine series of main event matches that have been taking about 20 minutes at the end of the show, and this week we saw Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn go after their Universal Tag Team Championships that are currently held by Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Fine match. It breaks down near the end. The good guys and Cody and Jey win here. And we see Kevin Owens pop up as the newest drafted person over to SmackDown the following Friday night. So it looks like no more KO and Sami as a tag team. And I'm perfectly happy with the outcome now.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of those guys. I mean, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are great. I'm a little sad about not seeing them together anymore, though.
Well, you know, this brand split is not totally solid, so who knows? In a couple of weeks, we might see Sami and KO tag up on SmackDown.
True.
Okay, Ashley, what is your number 2 match of the week?
All right. Number 2. proof of why Tony Khan needs more women on television. Chris Statlander, Sky Blue for the TBS title on Collision. They got a decent amount of time. Sky Blue has just continued to look great every week. Her progression has been outstanding, and Chris Statlander has just been on a roll since even before her injury, so just nothing new here.
Honestly, probably Sky Blue's best match, and I feel like they're moving her to maybe being a heel, as she got sprayed in the eyes from Julia Hart a few weeks ago, and we have noticed that Sky Blue has been doing her makeup around her eyes just a little bit darker, and she's been a little bit more aggressive in the last couple of matches she's had. So I got a feeling that maybe once Julia Hart comes back from her honeymoon, since she was just married this past Friday, so congratulations to Julia Hart and her husband on the getting married.
Shawty Lee and Julia got married this weekend. Congratulations. The pictures are so great. Oh my God, they looked amazing.
Yeah, you need to check out Julia Hart's Instagram because there's a lot of good pictures up from the wedding. But I'm looking forward to her getting back and teaming up with Sky Blue to face whoever you have as baby faces that can go up against them.
Yeah, I've even seen like the sides with like even Willow. Like Willow's not coming out because she got misted as well. I don't want them to turn Willow heel though. I want her to fight this off, kind of like we've seen people fight off the mist effects before. So I want Willow to be like just the too positive to take down with this. But have Sky Blue turn. I think her and Julia could be like a good women's tag team.
They could be. And I was waking up this morning after watching Collision going like, I'm not sure about Sky Blue being a heel because I feel like she screams babyface. But after talking to you, Ashlee, I can see this possibly being a direction they would go.
Yeah, she's definitely, you've seen like the attitude shift in her over the past few weeks. So if like her working with somebody like Julia, who's been working obviously with like closely with House of Black, who have helped her progress as much as they have, I could see them doing wonders with Sky Blue.
Yes, I feel like they could do worlds of wonder to the in-ring acumen of Sky Blue. I feel like it would be a positive. So allow me to talk about my second favorite match this week. I'm going to do it real fast because we already talked about it because it was your number 3 match of the week. I'm going with Swerve Strickland versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. If you only watch one match from last week that you missed, you need to watch this freaking match from AEW. It's about 16 minutes long, and it's commercial free, so you get to see the whole freaking thing.
So every Bryan Danielson match should be.
I feel like there should be a national law now, really.
Truthfully.
So, Ashlee, what is your number 1 match of the week?
I don't think there's going to be any surprises here, Shawn. Collision, Christian Cage, Bryan Danielson, TNT title. Even though the GOAT loses, hands down, just Christian Cage showing off. And he is just in every way, personality-wise, in-ring, this guy is just showing off right now.
Ashlee, who would believe maybe 3 years ago that you would say, in 2023, Christian Cage will be having the best year of his freaking career in AEW.
Even when he signed with AEW, I didn't see this run happening. This has been fantastic and a pleasant surprise. He's just so deserving a run with this title. I'm excited to see what's going on with him and Nick Wayne, and just a hell of a match with obviously Bryan Danielson.
Exactly. I can't wait to see that happen. Now, allow me to talk about my number 1 match of the week. And it should be no surprise because I've literally been talking about it for the last probably 20 minutes. It's Zack Saber Jr., Will Ospreay from World Quest 3 this past Saturday. I'm going to link RevPro's streaming service into the show notes. It's not a bad price. It's like $9 American. So go skip your Starbucks for one day, get the RevPro streaming service, and watch this main event of their last pay-per-view because this is one hell of a Zack Saber Jr. versus Will Ospreay match.
Yes, send me that link.
I sure will. And that has been our top 5 matches for this past week in wrestling on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. One final segment for us, Ashlee. We're going to quickly go to On Tap and tell you what's coming up in the week of wrestling that we're looking forward to.
What's on tap? The guys give you their picks on what you can't miss this week.
Okay, Ashlee, I'm going to give you the rundown of Raw coming up this evening, and you tell me what match that you might want to look at.
Okay.
Okay, settled for Monday Night Raw coming up this evening. We have Damian Priest, Ben Balor versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship.
Should be good.
Should be good. We also have the Intercontinental title, Gunther, facing against Bronson freaking Reed.
It's going to be a big hoss fight.
Exactly. This should be a fun house fight. And the fact that Bronson Reed won the Triple Threat #1 contendership last week on Raw, the first thing I thought was, this is going to be a hard-hitting match.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's...
We also have Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a Fall Counts Anywhere match.
Ooh, that one I'd like to check out.
I really feel like Shinsuke Nakamura is on fire right now. He's tapped back into what he was in NXT, and this new regime that's running Monday Night Raw is letting him have some of the best matches he's had in WWE.
Yeah, and these are two guys who kind of haven't had the opportunity to go off in quite a way. So seeing these two go one-on-one in that type of match should give them both the opportunity to show off maybe something they've been holding back a little bit.
True. We also have Rhea Ripley versus Shayna freaking Baszler. Hell yes, please.
Oh, that's gonna be an interesting like big lady fight there. That's two big women like going at it, two big strong. I am Shayna Baszler. Wow, okay.
Exactly. I feel like this is the restoration. This is them rebuilding Shayna Baszler back into what she was in NXT, where she was the freaking killer. And maybe down the road, she might be the person that gets the title off of Rhea Ripley, maybe.
Yeah. Start her. You got to start off somewhere too to like rebuild her. So maybe have her come in here, look good, take the loss, but give her something to kind of work back to.
Exactly. And the other match they have announced is Piper Niven versus Natalya. What can I say here? This is going to be a fine professional wrestling match.
Yeah. And we were just talking about Piper a few weeks ago, and it's finally kind of good to see Natty, like somebody I feel like we haven't seen in a while.
True. This is two ladies who are underappreciated on the WWE Raw roster, who haven't been given the best content, but still come out and do their best each and every week.
Yes. Some people do not understand how hard it is to make some of those ideas work.
Yes, they are good at making chicken salad out of chicken, you know what. So allow me to go to AEW Dynamite, what we have come up this week. We already mentioned that we're getting the Diamond Dozen Battle Royal. I know that Dustin Rhodes is in this already. We know that Juice Robinson is in this. And I think we both agree, Ashley, that Juice is going to win this.
Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty predictable outcome for this, but because it's leading toward Juice Robinson and MJF.
Exactly. And I have no problem with that match coming up. I want to see that match.
Me too.
We get another Timeless Tony Storm movie premiere coming up this Wednesday night on Dynamite. If you didn't see last week's black and white flick from Tony Storm, go back and watch that, because that was some fun stuff in picture.
It took me a second to figure out what she was doing, but then once I figured it out, I was like, this might be my most look forward to segment of anything.
Well, allow me to introduce you to the next match they have put on the card, as we get Penta versus Jay freaking White.
This is gonna be a lot of chops, a lot of chest pain going on after this one.
This is gonna be some fun matches here, because I feel like this match could easily main event a AEW pay-per-view somewhere.
Yeah.
They're also advertising Sting being on the show to talk to the fans, so we'll have to wait to see what Sting has up his sleeve. Then we get Kenny Omega versus Kyle Fletcher, and Kyle Fletcher may be MVP of the last week for AEW.
Yeah. Again, totally sucks to lose Davis again to injury, but seeing Fletcher kind of come out and put on some good matches, even though we had it was kind of like an expected win on Saturday. But I liked the promo calling out Kenny Omega, and I'm excited for this.
You're looking for somebody to probably challenge Orange Cassidy for the international title. Hi, Kyle freaking Fletcher, please.
Yeah, that would be good.
And we also have a sit-down that we already talked about with JR going to have Nick Wayne and his mom in a sit-down interview. And I can't wait to see what Nick Wayne says to his mom.
Yeah, I'm very curious, because him is being like told on was it on Dynamite or Collision this week that his mom was going to be there, and him being like super upset about it, which is very funny. So I'm excited to see. I'm hoping Christian pops in and says something during this interview.
You know, if he doesn't do it, if Christian Cage doesn't pop into this segment, they done it. And that is what we are looking forward to this week in professional wrestling.
Seems like a lot of storyline stuff for AEW this week.
Yes, it feels like they're advancing a lot of stories as we're heading closer to Full Gear. And I feel like they're going in the right direction. I think Full Gear is going to be yet another good pay-per-view offering from AEW. And we're going to be fine with giving Tony Khan another $50 freaking.
At least it's a few weeks away, and it's in the second week of November, so we at least have some recovery time.
Exactly. Maybe I'll just put it on my Christmas wish list. Like, guys, you can just give me this for one of my Christmas presents, and just put a little note like, hey, do you remember that pay-per-view that we bought for you? Okay, that's my gift.
That could work.
So, Ashlee, before we go, where can we find you for all your amazing wrestling takes and your live tweeting of AEW events?
I am on Twitter. It's at groovy_ash_.
And you can follow the show at Radio Free PW on Twitter. You can also follow me at RFPW Shawn. You can go over to www.radiofreepw.com to catch up on the previous episodes. And until we see you next time on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, enjoy your wrestling week. And remember, this is still our groovy and stunning era. Guns freaking up.
Guns up.
Christina here. On behalf of the guys, thanks for listening. Like the show? Do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunningly.